Hello everyone. In today's topic, we are going to learn different things about force. Force. Well, if you keep a pencil on a table, it will remain there until you pick it up. Similarly, a chair will remain in the same position until someone moves it. Similarly, when a bowler bowls a ball, the ball will head straight to the stumps until the batsman hits the ball and changes its direction. If a ball is thrown towards you, what do you do to protect yourself from being hit by the ball? You must catch the ball to stop it. So, this means that force is a push or a pull. Any object cannot change direction or start moving unless force is applied. It is possible to change the speed or direction of any object using force. Force is something like a push or a pull in our daily lives. I will give you a few examples. If you kick a football, it will change its speed and direction. Or if you throw a ball up, it will eventually come back down because of the gravitational pull of the earth. Or if you are arm wrestling with your friend, arm wrestling, you use force to push his arm down. Or in a tug of war, both groups use force to pull the rope. Or in cricket, the fielder uses force to stop the ball that has been hit hard. Similarly, a table can be pushed or pulled to change its position. Similarly, you use force to knead the dough and make small balls. Again, remember that force is used to change the speed or direction of an object. Similarly, force can be used to start or stop a motion. Similarly, force is used to speed up or slow down an object. Or to change the direction of any object. Force can also be used to change the shape of an object. Think, which is easier to lift? An empty bucket or a bucket filled with water? Of course, it is easier to lift the empty bucket than the heavier bucket filled with water. We use less force to lift the empty bucket and use more force to lift the heavier bucket. Similarly, another instance when we need to use more force is to stop an object that is moving very fast. There are many different types of forces in the nature around us. The first type is muscular force. Muscular force. This means, for example, when we throw a ball in the air, we use our muscles to exert force. This is muscular force. Or for example, writing with a pen or riding a bicycle. Or anything that we do, we use muscular force. The second one is mechanical force. Mechanical force. In our lives today, we can see so many machines around us. Machines use different kinds of fuels like gas or petrol or electricity. This helps to generate force and to make our work easier. Like washing machines, sewing machines, and cars. These are examples of mechanical force. The third one is gravitational force. Gravitational force. Gravitational force means the power of the earth to pull objects. You know the famous person Isaac Newton. He saw an apple fall down from a tree. He started wondering how the apple falls down by itself and not the other way around. How? And then he discovered that the earth has a gravitational force. Your weight. What is actually your weight? It means how much gravitational force is acting on you. Understood? All objects have a gravitational force. For instance, the earth moves around the sun. Or the moon moves around the earth. Because each has its own gravitational force. The sun's gravitational force is much more than the earth's. As the size of the sun is much larger than the size of the earth. But because of the earth's speed, it does not get pulled into the sun, but keeps revolving around it. The fourth force is magnetic force. Magnetic force. This magnetic force is the force between two magnets or between a magnet and a metal like iron. Magnetic force is used to lift very heavy containers. Heavy containers. An iron nail gets attracted to a magnet, or the compass shows north and south direction due to the magnetic force. 4 types are done. Now the fifth one is friction. Friction means the resistance to the force. This force always acts opposite to the things that move. This means that we use oil or grease in the wheel so it can run smoothly. We use oil or grease as there is friction. Or if we roll a ball on the ground, it will come to a stop after rolling for some time. This is because the ground has more friction as its surface is rough. But if the surface is smooth, then the friction is less and the ball would roll further. Similarly, we use powder on the board before we start a carom game. Friction is very useful in our daily lives. For example, in order to write with a pencil, we need to be able to hold it. Without friction, it will be difficult to hold a pencil. It will slip out of our fingers. Similarly, it will be difficult to ride a bicycle if there was no friction between the tires and the road. We would be riding in the same place without friction. Hence, it is very important to have friction between the tire and the road. The sixth one is static electricity force. Static electricity force. This means some surfaces have an electrical charge due to friction acting on them. They produce this force. Because of this charge, it sometimes attracts objects and sometimes repels objects. This is known as static electrical force. For example, after you brush your hair repeatedly with a comb, and if you bring it near some pieces of paper, it will get attracted and stick to the comb. This is due to static electrical force. Many times, many forces act on an object, not just one. For instance, if we throw a ball up, there are many forces acting on it. The first force acting on it is the muscular force. Then it gets pulled back down due to gravitational force. And air resistance too. When the ball is thrown up, the air acts as friction, which is the opposite force. So the ball first travels fast and then slows down before falling back down. So, there are many forces acting on an object. The sum of all forces is called the resultant force or net force. This force determines the speed, direction, and the movement of any object. Now, you have learned about force and different types of forces. Now it will be very interesting when you try to identify the different types of forces around you. We have many different topics coming up. Come back and watch them. Thank you.